A true and faithful relation of what passed for many years between Dr. John Dee and some spirits. We are continuing from June 18th, 1586. Cava poro, naquas tibe in exilium parata, servas meas, vel negligentia vel timiditate tua aliorem sic patiaris ex manibus tuis vel tanquam oves ab ovele tuo malis artibus eo iniquitate erepe quis enim istude srepiet quod datum est a me. Cogita icatur megalando cura quod hac tennis lesum est. Fringam namac franum satana eo inimicis vestres benedictio patris eo spiritus mai eo consolatio a me quae subjecta est omnis potestas sit tacum eo supra te peceatis denic manatus cessa ut cum mecum laqueris vita tua sit limint eo gratia mea vusulta memorandum be okay, Mr. Francis Pucci, NL 1586, May 6th. Okay, in the margin. Be remembered that Francis Pucci, Florentine, whom at my going to Leipzig I left in our house at Prague, in the mean space had been at Frankfurt upon Mene, and went from Prague about the same day that the Bishop of Placenza Nuncius Apostolicus did exhibit to the Emperor a libel against us of most horrible untruths, and so on. At his going from Prague, he had that Nuncius blessing, and so on, in the mean space. And after his return to Prague, again it happened so that in the 30th of May last, I received the Emperor's commandment, I, my companion, and all mine to depart within 6 days out of Prague, and consequently out of all his kingdoms, dukedoms, and lands, which we did, and were come to Erfurt in Thuringia, and sometimes to Kassel, whether we had removed our goods and family by reason the senators of Erfurt would give us, as no leave to hire any house there, as both by the Lord Schonberg in the name of the Lord Rosenberg I was essayed with repulse received, and also again by me and Edward Kelly proved July 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th, 11th, 12th, 13th, 14th, and on Tuesday, the 15th of June, Dr. Kurtz brought upward from the Senate that they would not grant our request. Yet, notwithstanding, if the Lord Rosenberg would again send unto them in the manner, they would think better upon the matter, and so on. Now remember that Francis Pucci came to Erfurt on Thursday after our supper, July 10th. Stillo Hovo? I'm not sure how many letters before OVO. Some black ink, could be an H. On horseback, on a horse, which he had bought at Malmberg Fair, and so on. July 11th, he discoursed with Edward Kelly and me, and he thought we might obtain forever to return to Prague again if we would, that he had found this Nuncius Apostolicus more courteous than Malaspina, of whom he reported also that it was credibly informed that he was fore offended that we gave him no more honorable title in our speeches to him than Reverendissima Vestra Paternatus. This Pucci framed the discourse of his talk to persuade us to think well of this Episcopus Placentius, that he was charitable towards us, and sorrow that we were so uncourteously used, that he meant nothing else in his suit to the emperor against us, but that we might be examined, and that being found faulty, we should be sent to Rome. But after that he had begun to move against us, that he found the emperor more eagerly bent against us than he himself was. And okay, and continuing of the translation from the last time, we have, the eradicating of the shameful pride, the strength of the hand and of the spirit, having heard the prayers, don't neglect the time of your visitation, clamor with zeal and bitter anger, and accept the maiden as your wife, joined to your house, prepared towards your old age and all that, whether through your fear or through your negligence, to be snatched away from your hands, the sheepfold. I will break the reign of Satan and your enemies, as if he's diligent and accepts the blessing of the Father and my spirit and consolation. Finally, you've been warned, leave your sin which you speak with me, your life may be supported with life and grace. He's heard. I will remove, I will break. In the new style, there's a new style of a calendar. God's very much bound to them, and God said that we are to go to Rome, and I believe, and I will believe, and I won't believe otherwise unless God should say to me that you're not to go. Well, we don't always receive direct instructions as such, but and yeah. The note, the Lord Rosenberg told us that when he did in our behalf advise the emperor of his error committed in our extermination, that the emperor answered that this Nuncius from his first audience did urge so vehemently against us, and also the Pope had sent commandment by letter to him to deliver us and send us to Rome, that he was forced in manner to do as he did. But if the commandment or his decree were to be made again, that it should not pass, or if this Nuncius Apostolicus had not sent this decree away to Rome, that he should not send it, and so on, This I note in respect of the contrariety in the Nuncius assertion, and the emperor of our so hard usage. Now, yeah, that doesn't sound like a smart thing to follow along. That sounds like flee when, even today. Oh, you have an alternative religious line of experience with scriptures, no less. Yeah, come to Rome. Bring them to the Vatican. You know, the foresaid 11th day of July, the foresaid Francis Pucci, to prove that this his intended persuasion of the Nuncius could mean toward us, and to make us believe that great benefit would ensue our going to Rome, did bring forth unto us a writing of his own hand, which he read unto us. At the hearing of it we mused much. For many causes I asked him then why the Nuncius had not subscribed this writing. It is all one said that he for that hath he heard this read. Quoth I, yes, that he hath heard me read this 3 several times. Arise unto him, said I, and if you like of it, saith he, wherein his power serveth him not to perform as much as is specified in the writing, he will make and use means to have it from his holiness. Well, said I, take copy hereof, Mr. Kelly, for I was writing toward Salfield about a house getting. Thereupon, said he, contented, but I think it meeter to save and keep the original itself, said Edward Kelly. Well, said Pucci, and so the original was delivered to Edward Kelly. Note, okay, in the margin we have Apa it and Aspic. Note, after 10 of the clock, the same Friday, being the 11th day of the month, after breakfast, I rid toward Salfield about the house of the Earl Albert of Schwarzenberg, and so on. But after I was out of Eresford until my return again, I was so sore vexed in mind to think of Pucci, his return to our company, as well as for his unquiet nature and dispositions, as for his blabbing of our secrets without our leave, our well-liking, or any good doing thereby, either in God his service or our credit, but rather the contrary, ensuing, albeit not of his intent, but by either his indiscreet handling of it, or his undue hearers of him, and so on, and also for his household behaviors, not acceptable to our wives and family, and also because we were warned that he should be cut off from our company, and so on, and chiefly now to consider that he had laid such a bait for us with our mortal enemy to entrap us by fair fawning words, which by no means the emperor would consent to do before his authority, but rather to put us out of his kingdoms, and so on, and imagining that he was a mighty implorator upon us for this Nuncius Apostolicus and his adherents, that now he might perceive that we had done hitherto what we were doing, and what we intended to do, and considering that he urged at our hands an answer to the former writing, wherein also lay a trap for either in not answering it, our refusing to grant some points of it, or in our consenting to the whole, this Nuncius would put matter against us to our great disadvantage, thus being tormented in mind, in my absence, how we might be rid of this Francis Pucci by quiet and honest means. I devised to write to this Nuncius to know if this writing were of his contriving only, or of Pucci, his contriving only, or jointly, or if at the least the writing were, according to his will, and offer unto us, and so to send him away, wherein he could make no refusal, I intending not to make him privy of the content of my letter, and in the mean space of his absence I hope that some good way and better means would appear or fall out, whereunto we might trust, and so on. Thus I note my imaginations and discourses in the time of my absence. I returned to Erfurt, July 13th, hora 5 Amaridi, 5 a.m. I found Frater Pucci desirous to have an answer to the forced writing and very much persuading this Roman voyage, using arguments out of our actions, as that God said we should go to Rome in a certain month's space, that we ought to obey the Roman bishop and to love him, and so on. I replied and said that he was not to urge God upon any of his sayings to us, but to refer all to his most free disposition. His will was to be done, and not ours. God was not bound to us, and so on. He answered very vehemently and often that Deus est nobis obligatissimus, eo Deus dixit nos et turas Romam eo ego crede eo credum, eo alatur non credam nisse mehe Deus dixeret non nobis, etc. Well, quote we, God hath delivered unto us his meaning in that phrase, which we also devise you of, that it is not meant by the speech that we shall corporally go to Rome, and so I break off that his reasoning, and told him that we marveled that he should urge this Roman voyage so violently and eagerly more than we. It appertained unto us as much as to him, and so on. The same day I told him that he had heretofore offended God with his curiosity in our affairs otherwise than appertained unto his calling, and he may well remember his repentance therein, and his forgiveness obtained, but that now he had offended much more in curiosity and half in conspiracy against us with our mortal enemy, this Nuncius Apostolicus, upon whom he did fawn, in whose favour he is, who joineth, counseleth with him in our affairs, who dare prescribe us what we have to do in so weighty affairs as our journey to Rome, who hath framed a bill accusing us confusedly of heresy and wicked magic, both falsely in one part, and dangerous to life, and infamous at the least the other, and hereto required urgeth in a manner in God his name argueth by our actions past obedience, and therefore he hath separated himself from us, and hath set himself against us, and so on. With great vehemency he said, he intended nothing but well to us, and was explorator with this Nuncius for our behalf. We require none, said I, neither we need any, for God seeth all, and doeth all for our benefit. If we will constantly love and serve him, to be brief, he would seem to be worthy to be thought well of for his zealous good will and fidelity to usward in all his doings and sayings. The truth whereof God knoweth, to whom we commit the cause between him and us. And so July 15th, but that would be Friday. So this has got to be at least July 18th. Sid Johannes D. de Eduardus Calius eu Franciscus Pocius volet era Roman ut confront cum sumo pontific de suis revelationibus venerantes cum tanquam sancta Petre successorem eo Christe in terris vicarium elast eo reverend episcopus placentius apostolicus nuncius apud Caesarium majestatem dabit illis letaras commandationis ut per totem iter eo Roma huma nissim smac caritate tracentur eo in suis necessitibus juventur ac praetera authoritate apostolica absolvent eas eo liberabit ab omne culpa eo poena quam merite essent in vitae ante acta ob artes magicas exercitatas harefses falsasc opinionis ab eis sparsas aut fictas verbis and scriptis aut areas rationibus ab libros prohibites lectas ad scriptas fiv ab alue quadvit ortmen cujus accusare aut argue passent in foro sancto inquisitionis aut in foro quad contentius sunt vocant aut inquovit aleo fore pontificare ditionis neques ab ullum vacantem aut thilus quantumvis atrox quad ede admissirunt ante hoc iter susceptum eis unquam facere negotium aut molestas esse possit aut ullo modo inquirer aut ipsos accuser presumat for the better ground in any manner of answer, making hereunto I ask the same. Francis Pucci, after supper on Tuesday the 15th of July, for as much as I had framed a letter for answer to the pith, the letter of writing here recorded, whether this letter were written and sent to us by the consent of this Nuncius Apostolicus, to know our answer in or no. He seemed to be unwilling now directly to affirm the Nuncius consent. We replied that he had already told us that he had read it thrice over to the said Nuntius, and that he liked well of it, and he did marvel that now he would make strange to affirm the same again, seeing I had now, according to his purpose, written a plain and perfect, humble answer to the same letter, and much more matter true and needful for this Nuntius to know. Well said he, Iatanus ex ejus consensus est, si velitis ere Romam eo quaestare conabiter, qua in aestem veteres continentur, etc. Well, said I, in Latin always, you must understand my talk with him in the same sense here in English recorded. If he mean well unto us, and in charity unfeigned, he will not be offended with my answer, the copy whereof doth ensue. And one of the things that I would very strongly indicate here is that we should, Latin doesn't always sound like the English way of saying those words, so please regard that. So John Dee and Edward Kelly are seen as sort of the St. Peter, as the vicar of Christ on earth. Well, we know the alternative story, but we're not going to go into that now. He will absolve them and free them from all fault and punishment which they might have deserved in their conduct of magical arts, heresies, and false beliefs spread or invented by them, or word of writing, or any other methods on account of reading or the writing of books which have been forbidden, and so on and so forth. And they're going to the Pope. If it's with his consent and you wish to go to Rome, endeavoring to fulfill these things. So obviously they're going to destroy, it's completely without doubt that they're going to destroy what they produce through their own writings. And, they are going to go after, they're going to go after, what they have themselves. Is like, you got to get rid of this stuff. And, but, through the emperor's recommendation and all that other sort of stuff. But of course, it's the church. The church wants to be completely seen as the authority to speak and that sort of thing. So, Christian character, not Christian character. One of the, all these letters and stuff are important in considering the whole Enochian magic thing. Is certain changes in society were able to be brought about, but it starts with certain changes of oneself. So all these different alternative religions that are being recommended in this text is just, it's amazing the variety of stuff that's being talked about, and the change that starts within oneself. It's like a personal apocalypse. Now, you don't have to do the magic that John Dee and Edward Kelly had to have your own experience of the practices. And you don't have to, and that means you don't have to be Christian, or you don't have to interpret this through Christian belief either. But of course, John Dee and Edward Kelly were like to the various rulers, no, this, we're devout Christians, and, I don't see any reason to doubt that they were devout Christians. And, there's a little bit more of the letter after letter after letter, but there's going to be more experiences to share in this book. Don't worry if you got this far.